Hey everybody, it's the Beardy back with my next comic book haul, Beardy's Books, for Wednesday, July 20th, 2016. This is a very special week for myself and my fellow co-workers at Comics Connection. This week's shows is the debut of the new Betty&Veronica comic from Adam Hughes at Archie Comics. It's falling in line with the kind of reboot they did with Archie last year. Started off with Mark Waid and Fiona Staples, and which I think I've reviewed a couple of those issues here already. So this is the Betty and Veronica title in the line, and Adam Hughes doing the writing and the interior arts as well as the cover is fantastic. I haven't seen him do interior work since before Watchmen a couple years ago when he did the Dr. Manhattan story, and that was amazing. So seeing him take on two of America's favorite teenage sweethearts, I guess, if you will, not to each other, but you know what I mean. American sweethearts, right? That's a phrase. That's still a phrase. Betty and Veronica, Archie's choice, inability to choose between the two ladies. So this series started this week, and they offered the availability to stores to have store variants like they have with other books, and we've gotten them before for the store. We've had different ones with the Comics Connection, name and logo on the Afterlife with Archie, the Sabrina comics. We did Spider-Man's issue 666 a couple of years ago with the actual picture of the store on the cover that Spider-Man's holding in the newspaper. But this is the very first time that actual employees of the store have been able to contribute art to the store variant cover. So I'm going to show you the cover first, and it's actually my favorite comic of the week, not just because we did the cover, but yeah. So here is the Comics Connection store variant for Betty and Veronica #1. Legit, full-on, real comic, drawn by myself and several of my co-workers at Comics Connection, both in the Mechanicsburg store and the York store. Look at that. One of the guys down the York store drew themselves into the comic book they're looking at. We've merged Comics Connection with Pop's Diner, which actually significantly plays an important role in this issue. So that's all of us from the shop with Betty and Veronica over the classic milkshake. Yeah. So this is great. I gotta give it to everyone else who worked on it. Joe and Nikki and Justin, you guys did an awesome job on this comic, this cover. Nikki did all the colors. We got our store logo down there in the corner. So yeah, I'm just kind of really proud of this. This is, I was able to do a self-published comic, issue 1, a couple years ago. I'm working on doing more, but this is the first time I've been able to contribute to something that is a full-fledged, legit, barcoded, in stores, everywhere cover. Granted, not you can only get these at Comic Connection in Mechanicsburg, New York. So if you ever see this somewhere else, it's because someone bought a copy at our store and sold it somewhere else. So, so there you go. That's the little spiel for our special cover this week. Very happy with the way it turned out. All right, so now to my real comic book haul. First up is the next offering in DC's Rebirth line. Hellblazer, John Constantine. Gotta love that cover. This is great. I never read too much of the series, the Vertigo series in the past, but I did watch the show, and I did watch the Keanu Reeves movie years ago, which feels more like just a nod to the concept of Constantine, not really the character of Constantine. So I like the movie. The show is great, highly underrated. Should have gotten more of a chance. And I can easily see, I can't remember the actor's name at the moment, him continuing on that role in this iteration of the character. It's really cool. It was fun. I loved the dialogue was great, and you get some surprise guests from some major DC players show up in this issue. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, unfortunately it's not a series I'm going to be able to continue on with monthly, but it was cool. I'll check in on it from time to time. But it was definitely a cool first issue. And if you are a fan of the supernatural, occult craziness like that, this is definitely going to be the DC book for you to check out. Up next is Uncanny X-Men, and once again, Mr. Land, whose work I generally do not like, has knocked it out of the park with another amazing X-Men cover. I really like this cover, as I have with the last 2 issues he's done the covers for. Interior art was pretty good as well from Ken Lashley, wrapping up, or seems to be wrapping up, the Apocalypse War story, and it had an ending I did not foresee coming. So it was crazy fun. Ending to this. So I think there's one more Extraordinary X-Men issue to wrap up its Apocalypse War stories. But this was cool, and I will be glad to see where these characters and teams go after these Apocalypse War stories end. Okay, Batgirl and the Birds of Prey Rebirth. Now, this was pretty cool. You got Batgirl, Black Canary, and Huntress as where they all are at their different points in their lives now, as they're coming back together, as someone has taken the name of Oracle, who Barbara used to use when her back was broken after she'd been shot, or her spinal cord was damaged, rather, after she'd been shot by the Joker in the, what was that, the Killing Joke story? Sorry, not one of my favorites. So, gives you a little bit more details about her and her experience between those events and where she's at in the New 52, and where these characters all come together over a similar purpose in this issue is pretty cool. Really decent artwork from, I apologize, I did not, let's see, Claire Rowe. I mean, check this out. Batgirl jumping into action, taking out bad guys. Really cool. Cool issue. Loved it. Great story. It'll be really interesting to see where the team goes and where Batgirl goes on her own in the weeks to come. Really enjoyed Justice League #1. The Rebirth issue was a couple weeks ago. This really kind of sets up the story arc of where things are going, and there's like these crazy disasters happening all over the earth, and it's really cool to see this team coming together and doing really heroic stuff, all in their own special ways. And, you know, Wonder Woman being my favorite DC character, it's really cool to see her riding into action on the first page on one of Zeus's thunderbolts, or lightning bolts. It was just awesome. So, good stuff. Green Arrow #3. Great story. I think they changed up the artist. Did they change up the artist for this one? I don't know, the art feels a little bit different, but it still feels like it's in the same vibe. Really cool issue continuing on Ollie's investigation into this group, the Nine Rings and Dante. So this is a pretty cool issue. Superman. I am so glad to finally have a Superman book that I'm excited to read every month. This was fantastic. I just actually watched the Christopher Reeve Superman for the first time a little over a week ago, and that put a whole new spin on Superman for me. I always knew about it, but never actually watching it. So reading this series in action is the Superman I've always wished to read, and why I've never really read before, because I feel like they're really delivering a version of Superman I like in this. And seeing him as a father to his son, as his son's getting powers, and nurturing him through all of that is and still being like this awesome hero is really cool. All right, up next, All New Wolverine #10. Last issue we saw Old Man Logan being taken care of and nursed back to health by Laura and Abby in the apartment they have in New York. And believe it or not, this image does not actually take place in the comic book. It's actually a really cool story. You know, just them kind of all coming together, the three of them, Old Man Logan, Laura, and Abby, and where they are, how they fit into each other's lives and everything. That's really cool. Now, the events of Civil War II have actually started, and they kind of are happening in the background of this story, and it kind of pulls them all together at the end. So it's interesting to see where the Civil War II stuff will go for those characters. Especially when there's kind of a shocking reveal at the end, as is comic books desire to do that, leave you hanging for the next one. Aquaman #3, again, another amazing cover from Josh Middleton. Another great story. They're still carrying on this whole Spindrift Station has now been shut down due to the events of the last issue and what Black Manta did. and it's all about Aquaman and Mera trying to reopen their embassy for Atlantis in connections with the surface world and everything, while other things are happening. Poor Aquaman and Mera and the people of Atlantis never quite get the footing they want in the real, or the surface world. So yes, it's another great issue. Love it. Can't wait for the next one. And now, Betty and Veronica, my pick of the week, the actual Adam Hughes cover. I love it because this feels like two girls who are actually, becoming, young women in the 50s or 60s, yet set in a modern story. So I love it. I mean, it's narrated by by Hot Dog. And, I mean, you just gotta love that. It starts off, it looks like a classic, 50s kind of dance. It's really cool. Well, the skirts are probably a little different for the 50s, but amazing artwork inside. I just love Adam Hughes' artwork, and his humor in this is fantastic. There's all sorts of little jabs. The dog has an incredible vocabulary as he narrates the story. It's very fun, very tongue-in-cheek, and Pop's Diner is being bought out by a major corporation, and the kids rally behind it to try to save it. There's this funny whole kind of like accidental missing page fix-up in there. It's great. So if you like humor and you like Adam Hughes artwork and you like the Archie world at all, I strongly suggest checking that one out. And if you are in Mechanicsburg or York, come into one of our stores and pick up that exclusive store variant that you can only get at our stores. Anyway, so that's it. That is the Beardy's Books, my haul for July 20th, 2016. Have a great day. Peace.